Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. Today I'm going to pitch you the idea that multiculturalism or diversity is our strength leads to treason. Okay? And I'm not going to say that it's usual for it to lead to treason. What I'm going to say, it's very rare that it leads to treason, but when it does, it opens your country up to a particular type of treason that's more dangerous than most any other type of treasons, right? I'm going to give you two different stories about that, okay? And this first one, boy, it's got some stuff in it I didn't even know when I signed up for this, for making this episode. So the first one's from a history.com article, and it's called Why Were the Rosenbergs Executed, right? And so we're going to talk about these two Rosenbergs, and basically their names are Julius and Ethel Rosenberg, and they were convicted of spying for the Soviet Union, including providing top secret information about American radar, sonar, jet propulsion engines, and nuclear weapon designs. Convicted of espionage in 1951, they were executed by the federal government of the United States in 1953. Basically, they're a pair of Jews, and they're married, and they're betraying the United States to the Soviet Union. Now, the reason why is because, and I covered this in another episode, but it's about the special relation that Jews had in the USSR. I'll link that one below. But basically, they're just giving away all of our secrets, right? Now, here's the part that when I was researching it, I found out. And so what I'm saying is this. Okay, let me give you the general premise. So you let all these people in this country, and they're not like us. They're something else. They identify as something else. They're like, oh, I'm not America first. I'm a Jew first, right? Okay, fine. You're a Jew first. So then you have a country, Israel. You may betray it to Israel because how did Israel get nuclear weapons? They're under the non-proliferation treaties. They're not allowed to have nuclear weapons, but they do. They literally got them in a way such as this, and maybe by these exact people. But anyways, and so the problem is there's this, why would they betray us to the Soviet Union? Because of the special relation that Jews had in the Soviet Union and the special relation of Jews to communism. And so communist Russia, of course. Now, this is the part that I didn't know about when I was researching it. This is terrific, right? Listen to this. Other convicted co-conspirators were sentenced to prison, including Ethel's brother, David Greenglass, who had made a plea agreement. Obviously, he's a Jew. That's the brother. Harry Gold and Morton Sorbel. Klaus Fuchs, a German scientist working at Los Alamos Laboratory, was convicted in the United Kingdom. Okay, so let's look at who these co-conspirators are. You got Julius, you got Ethel, you got Ethel's brother David, so you got three Jews. Now let's look at who Harry Gold is. His name's Heinrich Golodnitsky. Was born on December 11, 1910 in Bern, Switzerland, to Samson and Celia Ominsky Golodinsky. I mean, you can't make stuff up. Both Jewish immigrants from what is now Ukraine, and was then part of the Russian Empire. Okay, so we got four Jews. Nice. So then the fifth one, Morton Sorbel, was born in New York City to Jewish immigrant parents, Louis and Rose Sobel, who came in 1906 from the small village of Belozerka, Russian Empire, today in Ukraine. Okay, we got 5 of 5 are Jews. You see a pattern here? Okay, number 6, Klaus Emil Julius Fuchs was born in Rosselsheim, Grand Duchy of Hesse, on 29 December 1911, the third of 4 children of a Lutheran pastor, Emil Fuchs, and his wife, Else Wagner. His father served in the army during World War I, but later became a pacifist and a socialist, joining the Social Democratic Party of Germany, SPD, in 1921. Okay, so this guy is a white dude. He's a German. And basically, his father basically joined the SPD, the Social Democratic Party of Germany, which is the one that was battling with Hitler's National Social German Workers' Party for power. So these are the commies, right? So this guy, he betrayed us at Los Alamos by giving away secrets and stuff and getting into them. And so basically, the problem with this guy and his treason was that he was loyal to an ideal, and the ideal was communism. And so basically, he went in with a bunch of Jews to betray the United States. And so again, I'm not pitching that this is a usual scenario. I'm going to say it's highly unusual, but imagine the catastrophe. You have Soviet Union that we're going to do a Cold War with for the next, 40 something years at this point, and giving them nuclear secrets. It's catastrophic, and Israel, it's catastrophic, the damage that can be done, because imagine a scenario where it's like just some, I don't know, let's say some Frenchmen, or French men and women, and they're just like fully Americans. And then they're like, wait, let's betray America to France. It's not going to happen. It's just totally not going to happen. This is their country, but then you have foreigners who have more loyalty to another country. And this is the problem we get. Now, when we talk about the second story, right? This is Morris Chang, okay? So he's this guy who's born in China. He's born in China in 1931. In 1949, he comes to the United States in order to go to Harvard, right? He transferred to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT, in his sophomore year and received his bachelor's and master's degree in mechanical engineering from MIT in 1952 and 1953. Respectively, Chang failed 2 consecutive doctoral qualification examinations and eventually left MIT without obtaining a PhD. Okay, so I'm going to reference this article, and I'm giving you the Wayback Machine, so because if you don't, I don't pay for New York Times articles. It's called The Chip Titan Whose Life Work is at the Center of a Tech Cold War, right? And so basically what happens is this guy comes here and he's bright, and he's like, I'm an American now, right? Anyways, over in China, it's, he came here in 49. Now they're doing a revolution and stuff like that, right? And so his family is related to the good guys in China, the nationalists, against the communists. And they, of course, lose the revolution, we'll say. And so then the nationalists retreat to Taiwan, where they're still at today, the descendants of the nationalists. So those are his people in Taiwan. He's full Chinese, but now he's he's now of Taiwanese. So anyways, and so he's loyal to the U.S. Everything's perfect, right? And he's working at Texas Instruments, and dude, just a genius, And then basically, okay, you ready for this? So at the age of 54, when many people begin thinking more about retirement, Mr. Chang instead put himself on a path to turn his insight into a reality. The engineer left his adopted country, the United States, and moved to Taiwan, where he founded Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC. Okay, so basically when they said put himself on a path to turn his insight into a reality, the insight he had was that the chips don't have to be created in the same place they're designed. They could be designed one place and then have another company over here that actually does the manufacturing, right? So that's why he created TSMC. The company does not design chips, but it has become the world's biggest manufacturer of cutting-edge microprocessors for customers, including Apple and NVIDIA. You see where the story is going, right? Okay, last part of this article right here that I'm going to share with you. Today, the company that partially exists because of a textbook is a $500 billion juggernaut that has put the most advanced chips in iPhones, cars, supercomputers, and fighter jets. So critical are its airplane hangar-sized chip factories called fabs that the United States, Japan, and Europe have courted TSMC to build them in their neck of the woods. Over the past decade, China has also invested hundreds of billions of dollars to recreate what TSMC has done. Okay? So basically, you got this guy, and he comes here at the age of 18, and he's just a loyal American, and he gets his education here, he gets his food here, he's raising his family here or whatever. I don't know what his family life is like, but he's being raised by his family and stuff like that, and he's just a regular American like you. He's a citizen, he's voting, everything's cool, right? And then all of a sudden he realizes, man, I could just betray all of this because my blood is in Taiwan, and so I'm going to go be more loyal to them, right? So then he takes his access that he's got as a U.S. citizen working for Texas Instruments, Harvard, MIT. He takes all of that so he can get the contract with the designers to manufacture in Taiwan. I wonder if this is going to go terrible for the United States, right? So, and he does this because he's not an American. He's not like us. And this is unusual. Again, this is not the usual scenario that a multi-ethnic society has. But when this does happen in the rare instance, it can be catastrophic, right? So now we're in a situation where if China goes to take Taiwan, which is rightfully theirs. I mean, legitimately, they won. I don't know. Like, I'm not going to take a side, but like, and I feel for the Taiwanese because I wish they would have won the war. Like I said, they were the good guys, the nationalists. But anyways, if they go to do that and seize Taiwan, then what? The United States is going to go into World War III with them? And why? It's because of the chips. The only reason we would protect China is because of the chips. So the American citizen built the chips in Taiwan, and now our entire country could potentially in the near future end up fighting a massive war because of this betrayal, because of this treason. Now, he's not really being treasonous because if you think about it, he was always Chinese, like pure Chinese, which means Taiwanese nowadays in his eyes, It's our fault for letting him over. It's our fault for giving him our education. It's our fault because even the innovations that he did at Texas Instruments and stuff like that, the negative is so much. The guy's brilliant, The negative, though, that he did by moving the manufacturing to Taiwan, by creating it there, is so much worse than the benefit that the United States as a whole gained from having this really sharp guy, you know? So anyways, basically what I'm saying is this. If you have a multicultural society, you have this strange... Okay, so let's just take any country. We did France earlier. Let's take France. If you have all French in there, in your country, like there's all Frenchmen, there's no Algerians, there's no Africans, there's not even, you don't want any Germans, you don't want any English. I mean, they could be visiting or whatever, you know, and same thing with the Algerians. But like your constituency of citizens is just French men and women, right? How many times, even in unusual circumstance, do you think that somebody who's not like a German spy who's come over here, but somebody who's just a Frenchman or French woman, how many times do you think they're going to take your nuclear secrets and give them to another country? How many times do you think somebody discovers fusion power and sustainable fusion power in France? How many people do you think is like going to go give it to well, that's a terrible example because they're probably Jews. Okay, let's say there's no Jews in the country, right? They're going to go give it to whatever other country. You know, it's just not going to happen. There's no rare circumstance where it happens. Now, it could have a circumstance where information is brokered and bought, but that's an entirely different scenario than we're looking at here. The scenario is here. These people are doing it for free. They're doing it just because their loyalty lies elsewhere. So if you have a homogenous country, right? This is my pitch, right? If you have a homogenous country, you're not going to have these rare but catastrophic betrayals of your country. If you have a multicultural country, you will not commonly have these, but you will rarely have these catastrophic treasons that has massive consequences for your entire nation. You know, like if you think about it, like it's depending on your age, like you might have sons or you might even, who will go to war because of this Chang guy. You know, it could happen, you know, and unfortunately mine are too little, and I'm too old apparently. So anyways, that's what I got for you. Now there's probably tons of actually more examples that could be put on here. But I just thought these two sum it up well. It's an interesting argument for not being multicultural. I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to think. And if you haven't been watching the show for very long, I'm going to link a episode that Victor and I did. And it's about the diversity is our strength stuff. And it does the biggest study ever done in the United States in this one category. And it concludes that diversity is terrible for the country. And so then that's more from a more... Like you can't put what I'm saying right now into a study. This is just, you just have to look at anecdotal things and say, man, even these few anecdotes are just god awful terrible. Anyways, that's what I got for you. So I have this plan I'm just going to tell you about. I might not have episodes next week. That might be a thing because I have this idea. So I made this kind of, it's not really a short because I didn't put it in the short category and I didn't know that you had to flip them all and that's stupid, that they can't be landscapes, the photos. So basically I did this like 1 minute and 5 second video where I'll link it in the description below. It's called like Join the Revolution or something. It's just a minute long and it just flashes through with inspirational music, all of these pictures of all the terrible things that have happened in the United States since the Federal Reserve is where I started at, right? And so if you haven't seen that, check that out below. But basically, I think instead of doing the research for a whole nother week's videos, I think I'm going to take the time to make another one of those. And they take a fantastic amount of time because you look at how many pictures when you're sending them. I think every half second I'm popping them on there. I can't remember exactly. And so then that's what, 130 photos and then line them all up in a folder and edit them. It's terribly hard, but you can do cool stuff. So a week ago today, when this video is published, I did the one where I said like an argument you can give to Christian Zionists about how you could talk to them about not being a Zionist, right? And there was this Palestinian march in my town, you know, like a couple people came, you know, and basically I was thinking about what would I write on a sign, right? Just as a thought experiment. And I thought, well, I would write on the sign, Christians shouldn't support genocide, right? Because like, I live in a, area where it's high amount of religious faith. And I think it's a compelling argument to make, right? And so, because I realize this is the number one problem that we have in the United States if we're going to get back power. Well, there's a lot of problems. But the number one problem is that Christian Zionists are the impediment that will stop us from getting away from our government being controlled by a foreign country. This is what's stopping us. And so I want to dedicate some more time to trying to fix that. And so I thought if I have the sign and it says, Christians shouldn't support genocide. The only thing a Christian can say is it's not a genocide, right? Because you could say, oh, but they're terrorists. Well, and they were saying that on Facebook yesterday, but my wife's reading me some stuff. But basically, the women and children obviously aren't terrorists. And so I want to do one of those kind of short things. It's not actually going to be short. It's going to be a video. And it's going to be, 18 plus, age restricted. And I'm just going to put together a catalog of the horrors, the terribleness. Like the Médecins Sans Frontières doctor who was like, he put a board up and he said, we did what we could. And it was just a picture of the board he posted to his Twitter. And then a couple days later, they do another picture and it's just that board and rubble. And they bombed the hospital. That doctor's dead. He's a European, he's dead, I believe. And then his Palestinian aides and nurses are all dead. And it's like, I want to put together where it just flips through all these pictures and shows the horror. And my point of that, when I'm thinking about the value of doing 3 full episodes next week or just putting together this one small thing, is that this can be used to break down the argument that Christians can't say, well, there's not a genocide going on. Just watch this little 1-minute video, right? And then, if you're not just completely and totally disgusted with your entire existence as a Christian, then you have no soul. Anyways, so I think that's what I'm going to work on. I might slip in a video too. I got some ideas that I really want to do. Anyways, so that's where I'm at. I just want to give you a heads up in case you don't see anything. Now, the point of that video is I'm hoping that you'll share it, right? Because it won't have any talking in it, it's just the events, and I don't know how I'm gonna do it with videos, like a 2-second video of the ambulance getting blown up. I don't know if I'm gonna put that in there or just a picture of it. I'm not sure. But anyways, and then hopefully you share it, and then hopefully instead of doing episodes where I talk about stuff, which I will do in the future, just like I have been doing, we can get a wider reach, not to bring them to the channel, but to get them away from Christian Zionism, which is the end goal, which will help us all get away from the control of foreign power. Anyways, that's what I got for you. End on a terrible note, and I hope to see you next week.